Welcome back to another episode with ByrdAdatto. Throughout this pandemic, we've covered a lot of different videos and a lot of different things. And unfortunately, this pandemic has caused lots of chaos in ways in which businesses weren't anticipating, such as being completely closed or partially open because the government won't let you stay open. In fact, just yesterday, there was a great article in the local paper here in Dallas on just this issue where restaurants and other businesses are being forced to close, and they're trying to figure out what to do, and they're looking to lots of different sources, to the government themselves and also to their insurance. And today we have a special guest to come help us walk through this muddy waters. And Michael, can you please introduce our special guest?
Sure. Joining us today is Bruce Steckler with Steckler, Gresham, Cochran. Bruce has been a longtime friend and someone we would go to and have gone to and have sent our clients to for litigation. And, unfortunately, what we're finding in the topic today is that there's going to be a lot of litigation over business disruption. And so, we go into the guy that knows and who will be in court fighting these fights to give us a little bit of education on how to approach business interruption insurance.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Well, Bruce, as you heard, there is, and it was just happened to be, I saw on the front page of the Dallas Morning News just yesterday, an entire article about businesses that are that have been interrupted, and they're looking to the business interruption insurance for help. And they're finding out certain issues that were unanticipated, much like this pandemic has been. There's been a lot of unanticipation moments. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about how business interruption insurance works and what are the problems you're seeing.
Absolutely. And, our hope is to avoid litigation. Many people buy business interruption insurance for just such an occasion, to cover those times in which you unfortunately have to close your business or your business is unable to be open and operate at full capacity. Business interruption insurance is typically contained in your property insurance coverage, although it could also be contained in your commercial general liability coverage. The insurance that you're looking for would be specifically called business interruption coverage. And with that, you could have coverage for viruses such as this, or coverage for civil authority, which is when the government shuts down your business. You may also have exclusions. Your insurance may exclude pandemics. But the question that you're going to find in this unique circumstance, in this time that we live in, is, was your business shut down because of civil authority? Or was your business shut down because you actually had a virus on your property? And that's an interesting issue that's going to depend on each person's circumstances as well as their policy. The first thing that you can do is get your policy out and see if, in fact, you did pay for business interruption insurance. And then advise your broker and ask them to make a claim for you. You do not need to be specific in making a claim. You simply contact your broker and say, as a result of the situation that we're in, I've had significant disruption in my business. I'd like to make a claim on my insurance policy. The broker will make the claim, and then it is incumbent upon your insurance carrier, not you, not a lawyer, to explicitly tell you why this is either covered or not covered. And throughout the course of obtaining coverage, the burden will be on the carrier to demonstrate to you why you should be covered or not. And if you feel like you should be covered, you should contact a lawyer, and we can put a demand on them to ensure that you actually do have coverage.
That's great. And what I think is going to be helpful for so many is just what steps can they take now. And it sounds like a couple of really basic steps. Look at your policy, ask your broker to help, and then what we're seeing, Bruce, is routinely insurance companies are coming back and denying coverage. And I don't know if they're bracing themselves because of so many claims being filed. But I think you said this. I want to make sure I understand. At that point, once they've denied coverage, is that the moment they should get counsel involved to help look and see what next steps should be taken?
Exactly. That's exactly what we're doing. And most healthcare providers, which I know is a large part of your clientele have actually coverage for viruses or biological agents. And even if you do have that coverage, just because the insurance company denies you, which typically we're seeing blanket denials, does not mean that you do not have coverage. It means that the carrier at this point in time has taken that position. So I would urge everybody that gets a denial letter to send it to a lawyer and have them evaluate it, review it, and see whether it's worthwhile pursuing. Even if you didn't have a virus and it was shut down by civil authority, and they're denying it, we all know that here in Dallas and in the state of Texas, by order of the governor and by the county judge, businesses were shut down. You should have coverage. Do not rely on your carrier to tell you whether you have coverage or not. Rely on them to provide you a denial letter, which triggers your ability to seek that coverage. And then I recommend you consult with counsel. In our case, we're doing all of these on contingency fee bases because, let's be clear, you haven't been in business. You need the money. The last thing you need to be doing is paying a lawyer to find out whether, in fact, you have coverage or not. So our hope is to do it on a contingency fee basis so that you're not out of pocket. And the only time you would be out of pocket we would be paid after the recovery that we received from the carrier. And we're doing that typically in a stair step so that we're not harming businesses anymore and they're simply getting the benefit of the bargain from their insurance policies.
Yeah. I think the other takeaway you had said, Bruce, is that I think is important is for those that are not in the state of Texas, every single state's going to be different as to the executive orders. In some states, we're seeing things such as your state was open, but your county was closed, or your state was open, your county was open, but your city was closed. So don't worry if the state didn't have a complete closure. Just look to see what was going on. It's again, Bruce had said something I thought was very good. Important is it's a civil authority that has authority over your property. So if it is that local city, like which is happening in San Francisco right now, which is different than the state of California, remember, these are all ways to look at it. And again, I think Bruce's point is imperative. Make sure you make that claim, and then if they deny it, which sounds like it's routinely happening, make sure you then decide if you want to go that next step. Retaining a counsel would be very important. The next step.
And I think it's important to note there's no one size fits all when it comes to this. Many of the policies are different. Many of the businesses are different. Many of the circumstances by which businesses are not operating are unique. So there really isn't a one size fits all with respect to insurance policies in your business. So it is worth it for everybody that has coverage or thinks they may have coverage to make a claim, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And you did pay the premium. You should have the coverage for the premium you paid. And if you don't, why were you paying that premium in the first place? So it's time that the insurance companies accepted responsibility, just like you met your responsibility in paying for your coverage.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us, Bruce. Any other follow-ups, or that was awesome. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, and I'm happy to help anybody out who thinks they may have an issue with their insurance carrier.
Yeah, and for those who are watching and want to get Bruce's information, please feel free to contact us. If not, we'll have Bruce's information below his name. But I definitely recommend you do seek counsel if you have made a claim and been denied, just to make, as Bruce said, just to understand what your rights are. But thanks again, Michael. Always good to see you via Zoom. Bruce, always good to see you in general. And appreciate everybody joining us again today. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.